Migalakis.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Under optimising time for questions, I do not agree with point 2 there. I would like to propose that this committee task the subcommittee with coming up with rules for interpolations, and that parties should be afforded the opportunity to make submissions in this regard. Thank you.
Honourable members, we now have a proposal here. I'm going to allow for that to be discussed. Honourable Ndlozi.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. We 100% support the resolution that the Rules Committee should should agree that there must be a development of a rule for interpolation, because we just want to say that the entire recommended changes will not improve the quality of replies. But the system of interpolation is the only hope we have. That's the first thing. So we support that proposal. In terms of point number we wanted a rule, a on-the-spot rule. So there is a rule in relation to debates in which if we're debating a specific subject, I can raise a point of order if the person that is debating goes out of topic, and the speaker or the chairperson on the spot can say to the person, stick to the topic. We asked for a development of a rule in that regard during questions and answers, whether of the entire executive, that if a person that is answering ventures out of topic or does not answer the question properly, on the spot, the speaker doesn't have to say you must answer in a specific way. They can at least say, in terms of the original answer, the original question, you are not answering the question because you have ventured out. So we would move that the Rules Committee refer that particular development of a rule back to the Sub-Rules Committee. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Honourable Ndlozi. Honourable Mhlaule.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Actually, the matter on interpolations accidentally found its way to the agenda. It was not an item on our agenda. We discussed it, and if it was correctly captured, there wouldn't be a reason why the Chief Whip of the DA raises the issue. We summarized it exactly the way Honorable Ndlozi is saying, that it must be referred to the subcommittee for further discussions. It's a premature discussion. We can enhance it better when there is a guide, a framework, comparisons from other countries and previous histories before 1994, because it was there, it was just discontinued. So we agreed that it must be referred back to the subcommittee. The issue about the on-the-spot challenge, I just want to make one distinction, that with the speaker saying you are not answering the question, can you stick to the question, we agree. We don't agree, however, for a member to come and stop the minister or the president and say, you are not answering our question, because the subjective nature of the question, of the answer that a member may want, may turn the House into chaos. So we did not agree on that, but we do agree that there must be a framework in which the speaker, if he or she determines that the minister or the president is not answering the question, they must be able to apply their mind as a presiding officer to say, you are out, you are not responding to the question, please come back to the question. So we agree with that framework, but not a member who asked the question or a member on the floor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Mshlali. Is Honourable Manyi?
Thank you, Chairperson. I think that last input is problematic because some of the chairs are conflicted, chairs of sessions are conflicted because they are part of the coalition. So they tend to soft pedal when the members of the executive are being questioned. So to leave the whole thing to whoever would be chairing is problematic. But that's not why I'm rising. Chair, I think on the issues of political parties, on the subtopic that says on page 4, further the subcommittee recommended that, then it's about 6 points. Just on point 1, political parties should monitor the replies. I think that is very iffy. I mean, what is the benchmark that you're monitoring against? What is the yardstick? What is it that you're looking for? So I want to propose that let's just perhaps take this back to the subcommittee to shape, if you like, key performance indicators of sorts that should be in place. I mean, to just simply say monitor. What exactly are we monitoring against what? What is the standard? So it's very wishy-washy, this thing. So I'm recommending that in order for us to know that now we've got a quality response, it must tick certain boxes. So the subcommittee must develop those boxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members. Yes, Honourable Mshlali.
You know, in the subcommittee, Honourable Ndlozi asked that we must not mark each other with Honourable Manyi, but it's very difficult. I must say, it's very difficult. You can't make rules on the basis of that you are suspicious of a presiding officer. We can't do that. When we put presiding officers, we are saying they must be impartial, and that's part of the rules and the constitution. Now, if somebody is persuading us or attempting to persuade us on the basis of that, they are suspicious that other presiding officers are linked to another political, we may as well not have a presiding officer if that's the case. It's problematic that that framework he wants to use to persuade us. We're not persuaded at all.
Honourable members, before I come to you, Honourable Wessels, could I perhaps just say I agree that I don't think this is the place to cast aspersions on any of the presiding officers and make assumptions. We should proceed on the basis of rules and what is in the interest of the House. Honourable Wessels.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I think we should refer this whole section back to the subcommittee, and I think we are all in agreement with that. So I would propose we just amend the resolution to not read specifically on optimizing time for questions, but that we refer back the whole section, which includes interpolations, which includes the point on relevance. But on that point of the relevance of an answer by a member of the executive, Deputy Speaker, I don't think that Rule 68 is not applicable. I do think it is applicable. And I do think that members do have the right to raise on a point of order and call the attention of a presiding officer during question time that a member of the executive is not relevant to the question. It's then up to the ruling by the presiding officer. So I don't think we need a specific new rule on that. Irrelevance is pertains to any member that is addressing the House, and that could be interpreted as any member, a minister as well, that's answering a question. But that is something that the subcommittee should further explore, and that's why I propose we refer it back. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Wessels. There is a proposal. I also wanted to, from the Chair's side, propose that because it is very clear there is no consensus on this particular item. So we have a proposal that this whole matter, that is point 4, that is the improvements to question time included in the interpolations, that this be referred back to the subcommittee for further deliberation and for a decision and a report on that. Honourable Mente, do you second that?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Speaker. Yes, we second that the whole section must go back, but they must also take into consideration the fact that a member in the House has a right to raise a point of order against an irrelevant answer, because a point of relevance is very important. So a speaker would then determine if it's subjective or not. But we should not close members out to say then the House will degenerate. It will degenerate if the Speaker is not giving guidance. But once the Speaker make a determination on the point of order and the matters of relevance to the question, then the Speaker will make such a determination. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Mente. Honourable Horn.
Yeah, thanks, Deputy Speaker. Look, in my experience, irrelevance is sometimes in play, but there is another issue which I don't think is necessarily irrelevance and which I think we must task the subcommittee specifically with, and that is sometimes members of the executive, unfortunately, are not fully prepared. That may lead to them becoming irrelevant in answering. But my suggestion would be, if the subcommittee is going to look into interpolations, that specifically a member of the executive who in the view of the member posing the question ultimately was not properly prepared, that interpolations on a fairly short turnaround time must be looked into in that regard. That's the only way ultimately in which one can prevent a situation where the only thing you get from a minister with respect to them all is that they are looking into the matter and will in some point in the future come back with some sort of a executive statement or a policy or whatever. So my suggestion would be that the subcommittee must build something in that if an answer is clearly pointing to a lack of policy or a lack of preparedness on the side of the executive, that on a short turnaround basis, the next week, an interpolation must follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Horn. Honourable members, before we now go into the work that we want to refer to the subcommittee, can we first just have consensus that this whole matter be referred back to the subcommittee? We've had a proposal, we have a seconder, Honourable Lakude.
Honourable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, I think in the subcommittee, we agreed with the optimizing of time for questions that parties will have to observe whether the core points of a question has been responded to. We agreed on this one. The only item that we said it needs further processing is the issue of the interpolations. We said, Honourable Speaker, we remember that, all of us, that interpolations were there in this parliament from 1994 or from 19 whatever, then up until 2000 when they were discontinued. Then we said this needs further processing so that we can have a better understanding, all of us, how this will benefit the...
Honourable Lakude, just a minute. Honourable Manye.
Yeah, Chair, I think this is a problem when people serve in all committees, because now the member is defending the work of a subcommittee in this space when the meeting has decided that everything must be referred back.
Honourable Manye, there are a number of members who serve on the subcommittee who also serve on the Rules Committee. That is how it works. The subcommittee is part of the Rules Committee. So Honourable Lakude, please proceed.
Thank you very much. You will learn anyway, Honourable Speaker. With time, you will know how Parliament works. Honourable Speaker, we said this issue of interpolations need to be further processed so that we can all have a better understanding. But in the meantime, we use what we have. We didn't say that this whole information about the questions must go back. We agreed on the further processing on interpolations, of which even now I still agree with it, that the interpolations need to be further processed. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Lakude. Honourable Ndlozi.
No, that's fine, Speaker. In fact, well, maybe we did not clarify each other properly, but what is going back, as far as I'm concerned, to the sub-rules is not here. So we're saying that point 2 on optimization must be, we must task the subcommittee to develop a rule. So it means there must be an agreement here that there must be interpolations. What the committee is going to do is not discuss whether there must be interpolations or not. The subcommittee is coming with a proposed rule. That's the first thing. The Honorable Mani will be covered by point 6 in the previous section. The subcommittee will then consider protocols and guidelines on executive replies. These will then be put to the Rules Committee for further consideration and adoption. It means we do have a mandate to go and say, what are the guidelines to consider whether there was a qualitative reply or not. So that's why I limited myself earlier, and I think with respect to Honorable Vessels, who is out now, Rule 68, if we agreed applies, I have no problem. My final problem, have you noticed that there is a growing phenomenon, Comrade Mdu, particularly from NC MPs, that on the opportunity of a follow-up question, they repeat the original question. It happened again even today. The Deputy President even said to a person, but I've already, in my original answer, answered that question. Whilst it's a reflection on the quality of responses from a specific political party, we may want to ask the Sub-Rules Committee to, who must be allowed, like, we can't have, in a question and answer session, members of parliament as well, not qualitatively interrogating the executive. And me and the Deputy Speaker had a standoff on the question, but I do think in the spirit of this item, we want to say that we will be able as well to hold ourselves as parliament to the same standard we demand of the executive. The follow-ups must be quality as well. But what it must not be allowed, what must not happen, Deputy Speaker? Like, think about it, like, we're adults, we're here on behalf of millions of South Africans. Is for a person paid by the people to come and repeat the original question and an opportunity to hold the executive accountable. It's really, really something that must be declared criminal. It's illegal. Comrade Mdu. With respect, this is like very, very positive criticism. Thank you.
I have the Honourable Michalakis and then the Honourable Koornhof.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chairperson, I agree. My original proposal was not whether we explore whether we want interpolations. It's a matter of we would like interpolations, but that the subcommittee actually explores what they should look like. We don't have to go on study tours. We don't have to have long discussions. It was in the rules before. We can maybe tweak it here and there to make it more applicable to the modern parliament. But the original proposal that I made was that we agree that this is desirable and that the subcommittee just explores what it should look like and how it should be implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Koornhof, then Honourable Dugmore.
We're now on page 4 and we are dealing with a subcommittee further recommended. This is part of paragraph 4. So can I appeal to you that we listen to the completion of paragraph 4 on the next page with a recommendation and questions and then take a decision?
Honourable Koornhof, we have actually gone to that part. So that was where the discussion started regarding the interpolations and the on-the-spot rule. And so I think we are at the point where there was a proposal, there was a seconder, and then there were additional points made. Honourable Mashlaule, are you covered? Okay. Honourable members, we still have a proposal that was seconded, so we have to deal with that, and that is that this matter be referred, Honourable Wessels, I'm glad you're back. Your proposal was that the whole point be referred back to the subcommittee. That includes interpolations because reference is made to interpolations in this particular one. I think in terms of the quality of replies, that would cover Honourable Horn's point in terms of relevance, irrelevance. So could I ask, is there anyone who is opposed to this, that it be sent back to the subcommittee for further deliberation and that the Rules Committee then look at whatever is the consensus after that? Can we proceed on that matter? Honourable Michalakis?
My apologies, Madam Chair, but I'm not clear then whether the Rules Committee has indicated whether interpolations are desirable or not. Are we leaving it open? I would suggest that we actually make a decision here. It was briefly discussed in the subcommittee, and it was briefly presented to us what it entails and all of that. I would prefer for the Rules Committee to make a decision on whether it's desirable, and then we can only take what it will look like to the subcommittee, instead of referring it blanketly to the subcommittee for deliberations and then for us to have to decide whether we want it or not. I think from our side, at least, it's clear that we would like it, and that was my initial proposal.
Thank you. Let me just first put, we have a proposal. There's now an amendment on that proposal that the whole thing is not just referred back, but that a decision is taken by the Rules Committee now on the desirability. Honourable Dugmore, my apologies, I omitted you.
It's fine. The Deputy Chief Whip has indicated that she wants to speak. I'm not a full member, but I was on the subcommittee and I recall that the wording there, the possibility of interpolations could be supported, is correct.
Deputy Speaker, we can't hear.
Okay, it is, Honourable Dugmore says that.
Shall I say that again?
Please, yes,
Yeah.
please repeat that.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm not a member of this committee, but I was on the subcommittee proposal. So, and I noted that our Deputy Chief would want to speak, but I just wanted to say, having been in that subcommittee, that wording, while the possibility of interpolations could be explored further, the current arrangement is what we agreed. So my understanding from what's being proposed is that's going to go back to the subcommittee for further discussion.
Thank you, Honourable Lakudi, and then Honourable Nodada. I also omitted you, sorry.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, Deputy Speaker. I keep on promoting you. Okay. Honourable Deputy Speaker, I think it will be unfair for this committee to take a decision on the desirability of the interpolation if we don't have the information. What we said the NA table must provide information on interpolations because some of us, we were not there when interpolations were there. So they must provide the information so that we can understand and agree and then process it further. Thanks.
Quite a few hands. Honourable Nodada, your hand was first, then Honourable Mashlale, then Ndlozi, then Honourable Manyi.
All right, thank you.
Honourable Ndu.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. I think the Rules Committee is well within its space to take a decision of this nature. I would like to suggest, Deputy Speaker, that based on your summary in the ruling, it must include the following. One, this committee, now there's a proposal that we make a determination that we want interpolations, and therefore referring the establishment of the rules around interpolations to go to the subcommittee. That's the first thing. Secondly, there's a proposal from Honourable Wessels that says this particular section in terms of the questions must go back to the subcommittee to develop it way better. But the establishment of interpolations is something that we must take as a decision here. We agree that that must go there. And once that agreement has been done, then the subcommittee is then tasked to make that determination. So that's basically what I think must be determined now. Information about interpolations, those things can be sent through to the subcommittee for further information on how those were done before. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Nodada. Before I give the other hands, the Honourable Nodada has now proposed an amendment on an amendment. So I think at this particular point, let's start with the last one. Honourable Nodada proposed that the matter be referred, but specifically that a decision is taken by the Rules Committee in terms of the desirability of interpolations, and that the task or the subcommittee then be tasked to look at the specific modalities of how the interpolations will function. Honourable Wessels.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I support that. I don't think it's necessarily an amendment. It's actually two proposals. The first proposal was made by the Honourable Mikalakis, and I would second that. Fact of the matter is we can say to each other, there's a need for interpolations. What that will entail, if it is once in 3 years or once in a sitting or only in question time, those details we'll discuss in the subcommittee on rules. So I don't think we have to now see and be scared of interpolations because we think if we say it's desirable, it's going to mean something. The meaning thereof will be discussed in the subcommittee according to the facts provided and the research provided. So I would support that, and I think there's been actually two proposals. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Wessels' proposal right at the start was that the whole section be referred back without specific reference to the desirability. The second one is then that the desirability is determined here in this Rules Committee, and on the basis of that, it is referred back the whole section to the subcommittee. I have seen other hands. Honourable Ndlozi, no, let me give Honourable Ntuli.
No, thanks, Chair. Chair, I think I understand why the chair of the subcommittee on rules is raising a concern on this matter. On previous occasions, when we have had to take decisions on certain issues before us, we have agreed that once we have sufficient information about whatever decision that we need to make, we are then in a better position to take an informed decision. It was this committee which, instead of taking decisions on some of the matters we are considering today, agreed that those matters must be deferred to a subcommittee which would be empowered to have more details than we were exposed at in our Rules Committee meeting, so that whatever that comes to us has been adequately processed with the information that would have empowered the subcommittee when they make a recommendation to the Rules Committee. So I don't think that there is a fundamental disagreement about the desirability or the need for interpolations. That may be a function of what is going to happen when the discussion unfolds. But I think the point that is being raised here, which I don't want us to sideline, because then in future, when we come back to the practice I have observed in the past meeting, then it becomes a problem on which matter must we be favored with information before we take an informed decision. I think the principle is that if, let's say we agree that the interpolations are important, and the committee must go and deal with the details around how should they apply in our current context. What I hear the chair of the Sub-Rules Committee saying is that why can't we allow them as a small team to be immense in the details that we are not exposed to here today and now, for them to make a decision that, yes, of course, this is desirable and these are the conditions under which it can be applied. I don't think there is a major issue of disagreement on the application of interpolation. Now, the way in which we're advancing our argument, some of us, seems to suggest that there is a disagreement about the importance of interpolations. My view is that I don't think I see that. What I see here being a problem is a Rules Committee that in the past had said, we need more work to be done here. We're not exposed to details. Go and work it in the subcommittee. And today coming back and say, well, we don't have much information on this issue, but we want it. Go and tell us how we can implement it. So I thought the best way to handle it is to note the proposals that are being made, which are not objected to, but leave the matter to the Rules Subcommittee to engage with the details and come back with the recommendation. That's what I thought I'm hearing to be a point of contention, Deputy Speaker. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Ntuli. Then Honourable Frolick.
I thought the Honourable Ndlozi was ahead of me, Deputy Speaker, but I'll I think it's positive discrimination. No, thank you. No, I think largely the Chief Whip has covered me. I'm not a member of the subcommittee, and I would like to have a complete picture of exactly how this interpolations will impact on the program, firstly, of Parliament. What exactly will happen when we have interpolations? Have we had, through you, Deputy Speaker, to Mr. Castle, an analysis of how interpolations was done in the past? I can remember then even it changed all the way to what we have now as questions. So in the absence of that information, it's difficult to take an in-principle decision that will ultimately come back to us again. And it's like almost giving a blank check and say, no, go ahead and do it. And we don't know exactly what the broader issues is around the interpolations, because ultimately there will have to be a compromise somewhere if we add interpolations to it, and we want to see what that impact will be. And the subcommittee should be the correct place where that is processed.
Thank you, Honourable Frolick. Honourable Ndlozi, did I omit you or skip you? Because I also have Honourable Manye.
I'm in your hands. You tell me.
You ask so nicely, Honourable Ndlozi. Please go ahead.
Thanks, Deputy Speaker. We are 100% in support of the fact that the Rules Committee must agree that there's going to be interpolations in this Parliament as a different mechanism of holding the executive accountable to the question time. And the Sub-Rules Committee must be tasked to go develop that rule. That is the proposal which has been put, and we're supporting it. All the concerns of the Honourable Frolick and the Honourable Chief Whip of the largest political party will be interrogated in the sub-rules. But there's going to be interpolations as a mechanism in addition to question time. It used to exist in Parliament, it exists in the Western Cape, and it's going to exist here. That is what we're saying. The Rules Committee must decide now that we're taking the resolutions, we're going to have interpolations. The Sub-Rules Committee must go develop a rule. That is how it must read. That's the proposal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Manye.
No, I'm being clear.
Thank you, Chair. No, it's not like we're talking about a revolutionary concept that no one knows anything about. We're talking about this. We know this. The only difference is just a detail that this thing must now be contextualized and brought to life in the context of what we're doing. So the proposal there by Honorable note that the other name is so difficult, Makalakis. What's the right name?
Close enough.
Okay, yes. Okay, yeah. I think, Chair, I agree with that submission. And I think, this resistance to efficiency is a problem. And this is why the country is suffering with a whole range of things. Just a simple thing, a mountain, make a mold out of a, make a, what do you call it, a mountain out of a mold. This thing is not complicated, because if the subcommittee comes back with something that is not acceptable, this committee will shoot it down. So this committee, we support the view that this committee must take a definite decision that this thing that is not being heard of for the first time in South Africa, called interpolations, we accept it. It's a good approach to interrogate ministers so to kind of get the sense of whether they actually even understand what they're talking about. So it's a very important tool to use. The only thing that the subcommittee must do is to develop the details around it. That's why are we spending half an hour on this? So we support the recommendation, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Manye. Honourable Member.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Well, I was part of the Sub-Rules Committee, and in my recollection, we did not agree on the concept of interpolations. We looked at the process of how the question and answer session is, and also we then said we think the current form of a question and answer session is sufficient to get the executive to respond. That's my recollection. And we said the concept of interpolation is not a far-stretched or is not a bad concept. However, we did not go into its discussion. And then we said we will not bring interpolation into the processes, but however, we'll stick to the question and answer session and also the snap debates that we have currently. I want to propose that we don't support the fact that you are saying we need interpolation as a form or part of getting the executive to respond.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Lakudi.
For the sake of progress, Honourable Deputy Speaker, in the subcommittee, we agreed that this must be processed further. Let's refer it back to the subcommittee for further processing the issue of the interpolations. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Lakudi. We now have two positions. Honourable Oukamp.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Deputy Speaker, I do not see any problem with this body here making a decision on the desirability of something. Let me explain to you. Let's say we've got a soccer club in Cape Town, and that soccer club expresses the desire to go on a soccer tour to Kimberley. That's their desire and they express it. Then they go afterwards. They can appoint a committee or they can go into whether they can afford it, what route will they travel, which hotel will they stay, all those. And then they maybe come back and say, although we desire this, it's not implementable because we don't have the money or we don't have the time or whatever. But the desire or to express the desire by this body can easily be done. It does not say it will be implemented, but the desire for interpolations to be there this body can make the decision and then refer it for scrutiny and ways of which it can be implemented and maybe come back with, no, it can't be implemented, or yes, it can on these and this way. So I fully support what Honourable Michalakis and Nodara and Wessels has said. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Oukamp. Honourable Ndlozi, I think we have to come to some kind of point and a decision now. Honourable Ndlozi.
Deputy Speaker, with respect, I'm going to go and repeat my original support of the submission. It is on these grounds. The Rules Committee takes a decision that interpolation will become one of the mechanisms, tasks the subcommittee to go develop the rules and come back with a proposal. This is how it must appear, meaning we are not debating whether there are going to be interpolations or not. We are deciding they are coming. The ministers are going to be interpolated. The subcommittee must go look at how that rule must come and sound like, then come back with the rule here. That is the proposal on the table that we are supporting. Maybe the comrades who moved it can repeat it. I'm just a bit more clear. It's my gift, you know.
You could have fooled me, Honourable Ndlozi. My dilemma at this particular point is that is not quite what the Honourable Oukamp said. He said that desirability does not necessarily mean that it will happen. It means that it is a possibility and that it is desirable that it be examined further or discussed further. The same with the desirability of a piece of legislation. It doesn't mean it will be enacted. So I will have to, from the chair, make a ruling now because we're going to go around in circles and circles. So I would want us to, at this particular point, given the fact that there is no consensus to this matter, refer this matter back to the subcommittee, that they also look at the desirability, but that we have the proviso as the Rules Committee, that it is not off the table. Honourable Michalakis, we cannot go round and round and round. because otherwise I'm going to have to put it to the vote. I will then put it to the vote. Good. We will then start with the last amendment, which is that the matter be referred, point 4, to the subcommittee, and that there's also a decision at this committee that interpolations are deemed to be desirable and that the subcommittee must look at possible ways and rules amendments to deal with interpolations. That is, as I understood, the Honourable Nodada. So those in favour of that amendment. We are 23 members. If I can also ask the...
Can you repeat what we are voting for?
Chair, just before, sorry, just before you do the, I think the way you are explaining it makes it complicated in my ears. The decision where we are disagreeing here, where we would like you to guide us in the way you have started to decide on, is whether or not interpolations will be part of our practices, and that the committee goes to investigate how to implement it. Because the disagreement is not just a general disagreement on the committee work on, is the committee here a proposal being made that we must agree here and now, that is it accepted. So the dispute is whether we accept it here and now. The vote must be about yes or no on whether we accept it now or not. That's where we disagree.
Right. The proposal by the Honourable Nodada is as I captured it now. Honourable Ntuli is now proposing that we have a separate point on the desirability, so that we have on one hand the referral back and on the other hand the decision on the desirability. Now I see there is disagreement on that. Honourable Michalakis?
Sorry, Deputy Speaker, I just had my head in my hand. That's all. I did not raise my hand. I mean, how many amendments do we want to amendments at the end of the day? I think I was quite clear at the beginning that this Rules Committee, my proposal was, and I think it doesn't differ from Honourable Nodada's, is that the Rules Committee decide we want it or we don't want it, and then for the subcommittee to come up with what it will look like. As simple as possible. I think I'm more talented than Honourable Ndlozi in that regard.
Indeed, Honourable Michalakis, but the Honourable Ntuli then said we have to have one specific question on the desirability and another question on the referral back to the subcommittee. So in terms of procedure, Honourable members, I will start with the last point of the Honourable Ntuli. And is it seconded that we decide on only first the desirability and then the referral back? Honourable Wessels.
Deputy Speaker, that's exactly what I proposed quite a long time ago, is that we don't deal with it as two contrary proposals, but that there's a proposal by the Honourable Michalakis on the desirability. That is one proposal, and then there's a proposal on referring back the matter, but it's not contrary, it's not separate, it's not conflicting proposals, and we deal with it as two separate proposals. That's what I meant.
Honourable Wessels, I would not like to disagree with you, but that was not how it was put by the Honourable Nodada. And that is why we now have the 2 points, and your initial proposal was slightly different from that. And I'm trying to keep this procedurally because we have to get it correct. Honourable Mani, I really want us to go past this point now.
I want to assist you quickly, Chair. The black and white of this issue is this. There's a majority of us that are saying we desire the interpellations, but we want the subcommittee to go and work on the details. Then there's the other group that says we want somebody to decide whether we want to like them or not. This is another proposal to say we must not make a decision that we desire them. We must first get all the information, everything, to make a determination whether is this desirable after that work. So the one is we were clear. We desire this, but we are responsible adults. We say despite the fact that we have made a point to desire them, somebody go and work out the detail.
Indeed, the dilemma is, honourable members, that if there is a vote on the desirability and it is voted down, what is referred to the subcommittee? Because then it is deemed not to be desirable.
No, Speaker,
Honourable
Deputy Speaker,
Ntuli?
can I, maybe let me explain this slowly. Deputy Speaker, what I stood up to object to was not whether or not this is desirable. The issue was that on previous occasions, when we are required to deal with a matter that ultimately must be decided based on a full comprehension of the details, we have taken a principled decision that such matters must be referred to the Rules Subcommittee to help us entertain the details and come with a recommendation. My opposition to us taking a principled decision without even being exposed to details and the implication of one way or the other on deciding of the matter is that I'm saying we are, for no apparent reasons, moving away from the practice we've been using when we are dealing with the matters that ultimately must go to the Rules Committee. That is the issue that I am raising. I'm not saying that if, for instance, let me practically say, if the meeting agrees by a majority that the principled decision is not made here, it doesn't mean that the matter is no longer going to be entertained by the Rules Subcommittee to come back and give us a recommendation about desirability with information that is required. So as if the meeting by majority here decide, we need it here, go and work on the details, as others are saying. The same is going to happen, but all I'm opposed to is us making a principled decision on the matter that we don't have the information except what others are referring to. We are hearing it here. How was it done? And we're being told it's not in the report. We're being told here it was done in this way. It ended at this time. Why was it done in that way? Why did it end? What were the issues around it? Okay, sure. We understand now what we're talking about. Let's refer to the Rules Subcommittee to go and work on. That is the point of contention that we're raising.
Absolutely, Honourable Ntuli, but Honourable Ndlozi has the total opposite view in that he proposes that it must be decided now whether it is desirable or not. That is the proposal that is on the table right now, not to refer it back for further investigation, but that the decision be taken now. And that, as Chair, I am faced with that particular proposal right now. So I am putting it now to the Rules Committee, honourable members, that there is a proposal, that there is a decision taken by the Rules Committee that interpolations is deemed to be desirable. Yes or no? Those in favour, please raise your hands. We are 23 members, so a majority would then be 12. The quorum is 11. 12, no, Mr. 12, yes. So 13, 1, 2.
The composition of the committee is 23. So the quorum is based on the composition of the committee.
Correct. Okay, I get 10 in favour. Do I see all the hands?
The counters are happening. Ms. Lyons, will you just help us with the numbers, please?
Please keep your hands raised.
Maybe I could also, in the process, share.
Honourable Ndlozi, are you voting or not?
Ma'am, can I explain that, please?
Yes, please, Mr. Kasu.
The EFF has one member.
Okay, right. Only members, full members, not alternates, may vote.
If the full member is here, the alternate cannot vote. But if the full member is not, the alternate may vote. So for MK, Honourable Manyi, no, I'm just trying to check the members. The three of them. Okay. So the MK, so it's okay.
Right.
Chair,
Honorable Mshlaule.
Mr. Tasso was still saying in MK who votes and who is an alternative before we were really disrupted.
Yes. Honorable Mr. Kasu.
We just want to verify because MK's membership was verified today, so my colleagues are going to help me who the names are, who are the members who are members of this committee. But for the ANC has 7 members, and the DA has 4 members. Honorable the Chief Whip, Honorable Nodada, Honorable Ocamp. I take it that how many do we have now? 3. All right, because Honorable Portland is not here. Okay, the ANC, I have Honorable Ntuli, Honorable Dakude, Honorable Mahlaule, Honorable Makubela, Honorable Chabane, Honorable Matafa, Honorable Dereko here. Yes, so that's the ANC membership. And then the EFF, Honorable Mende is the alternate to Honorable Dlamini, as I understand it. And then for the other parties, we have Honorable Hadebe, we had Honorable Vessels and Honorable Webster. Yes.
Right, members, so you know who may vote. Can we raise your hands again? Honorable Ndlozi, do you want to vote or do you want to have a?
And I thought he's going to read Rule 196 on decisions. How do we make decision here? A question before the Rules Committee is decided when there is a quorum present in terms of Rule 1952, and there is agreement on the question among the majority of members present. So I'm correcting him because he was saying we require 12. So we need to know what is the present of the 23 now. And then majority of that is what is the decision. Agreed?
No, could I just explain? The 12 is a quorum.
Agreed, but
And therefore, you are right.
what do we require now?
The majority of the members present, the majority of the 23. But firstly, we must make sure that the members who are voting are the correct members. So we have confirmed with the MK that these are the
Speaker,
MK
with your protection, I don't want the dialogue, and he's interrupted me.
Mr. Kasu,
I'm
it's quite
saying-
correct. We have a quorum and the majority of the.
I don't mind quorum. How many members are present of the 23? Because there are people who are absent. And of the 23, as soon as maybe there are 20 present. If there are 20, majority of the members present will be 11. If there are 19, like that. That's the question I want answered.
Right, let's determine the quorum. Mr. Kasu, you have now determined who's here. There should be.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the quorum remains 12.
12,
It's
yes.
19 members present, so the majority of that will carry them. Yes.
10. So could we please now just raise our hands? Those in favor, honorable members, those in favor, please raise your hands.
Is Honorable Horn also a member?
He is indeed.
Chairperson,
Mr.
when Mr. Kasu mentioned DA people, he did not mention honorable. Otherwise, we will have to mention honorable Frolic as well. It's wrong.
Honorable Horn is
3, he is not here. He's not the excluding presiding officer.
Okay. No. May I
Yes,
explain, honorable
please,
members?
Mr. Kasu. Honorable Ndlozi.
Honorable members, honorable members, the membership of the Rules Committee was amended at the start of this Parliament. Now, that's in the report of the committee that was adopted here. Now, before, House chairpersons could not vote. But currently, House chairpersons are part of the membership of the committee. So which means that Honorable Frolick, Honorable Horn may vote.
Honourable members, let's proceed. The count was, Mr. Kasu, if I have it, it was 10.
Count was 10, all right, Tanya?
10.
It was 10, yes.
So the majority has voted in favour. So at this point, the matter of interpolations is deemed to be desirable. Then I put the next proposal